Okay, so hi, this is Shreosi this side, and I'm a trainer, counselor, researcher in the field of psychology, and I have 6+ years of experience. I practice with I practice with adults, and any concerns related to adult life issues, I deal with them, such clients. And specifically, if I talk about the concerns which I deal with trauma, violence, abuse, relationship concerns, and conflicts, communication strategies, and all of those. Right. So this is my about me. I would also like to know about you, but we'll do that a little bit later. For now, I will start with the session. So the session will go in this flow. That will start with a small mindfulness session, then the affirmative session, and then the content. In the content, I will be explaining you the introductory or the basics of psychology and counseling. If you have any doubts about the lecture, you can post it in the question answer section. And if you want to talk amongst yourself, you can use the chat box to talk amongst yourself or share your views there. For the smooth running of the session, all of you will be kept on mute. Uh, am I clear about the whole process? If yes, then give me a thumbs up. If no, then give me a thumbs down. Thank you. Let's start with the class of Introduction to Psychology and Counseling, where we will study the clear definition of psychology and counseling, the scopes and applications of psychology, difference between psychology, counseling, and psychotherapy, identify myths and misconceptions about mental health, the recognition of the role of a counselor as a helping professional, and I would try to know a little bit about your attitude towards mental health. Okay. So I have heard about your perception about this statement that psychology is everywhere. Now I'll tell you how I feel psychology is everywhere. All of you talked about other people, but no one talked about your own self. Okay. So psychology is not just about our clients. Psychology is also about us, our identity, ourselves. So when I see in the mirror, I see a human being, right? And I see the way the person is thinking, the way the person is feeling, the way the person is reacting. That feeling, thinking, behaving is what psychology is all about. Yes, for sure. But it is also about our identity, who we are, what is our race, what is our culture, what is our religion, what is our caste, creed, socioeconomic status, everything. Okay, everything determines how our life is as a person. Okay, so when I take psychology as a branch, I do not just think about others, I think about myself too, because psychology is a place where you not only aware your clients but you also aware yourself. Okay, you might ask me how, so I'll explain you how. Because you are a person who is not just dealing with uh, you know who's not just dealing with people, you're also dealing with yourself in your day-to-day life. And to understand yourself better, no other subject is can help you better other than psychology. So psychology is not just knowing other people or helping other people, it is also about helping yourself as an individual. I'm able to reach out to you. Am I able to reach out to you? Thumbs up if you are able to understand. Yeah, great. Now I'll tell you that what is counseling and what is psychology. Both are a very complementary thing. Like like we say na cup plate, then salt sugar, right? Psychology and counseling is exactly that. It's the two sides of the same coin. I would say both talk about mental health. Both are very impactful disciplines, but one is more theoretical. So psychology is more theoretical and counseling is more about practice. Okay, so how you apply the theories. Okay. Psychology is about understanding the theories related to, or the knowledge related to, human behavior, thoughts, emotions, and relationships. And counseling is about supporting, understanding individuals, communities, working in the communities, ensuring that people are functioning efficiently, talking to them, and engaging them in the self discovery or discovery of any other concerns which they are going through. Am I clear? Yeah. If you have any doubts, post it in the question answer forum. Okay. Now, moving ahead, understanding the field and its impact. So, psychology is the scientific study of behavior and mental processes. It is basically a branch of science which tells us how we think, how we feel, how we act, how we relate, and how we develop and change across the lifespan. So, how we think, that is, how we are making decisions, how we are attending to things, how we are, perceiving things, right? So, what are our thoughts? Good, bad, neutral. Okay, that is cognition. Okay, next comes how we are feeling, how is our mood, how is like what we are going through emotionally, is emotion aspect. Then comes the third aspect, that is how we behave, how we act, how we react, or how we respond to situations. Okay. Fourth is how our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors are affecting our relationships or our understanding about the society. Okay. Am I able to reach out to you? Okay. Next is the last one, that is how we develop and change across the lifespan. That is how we behave throughout our lifespan and how it changes, how we grow, how we develop. So let's say you have a breakup in your teenage, you will react in a certain way. You have a breakup in your 20s, you will react in a certain way. You have a breakup in your 30s, you will react in a certain way. You have a breakup in your 40s, you will react in a certain way. Okay, your reactions change over your lifespan. Also, how you deal with stress. When you are a small child, an infant, you cry because you seek for help. When you are a child, you ask for help, that mama please help kar do. When you're a teenager, you are on the both side, you ask sometimes and then you also do it on yourself. When you're an adult, you try to help yourself, try to be independent, right? And most of the times, maybe when we are nurturing children, we become an adult who doesn't even share their problems, right? So this is how dealing or sharing problems change across lifespan. So there are various domains of life where change occurs throughout the lifespan and throughout the way we are actually dealing with it. Also, psychology impacts not only your emotional health or your emotional well-being or your relationships. It also affects that what are you learning from the world. It also affects where you're working. Okay, let's say your work life. It also affects your moral judgments, that how you are judging or not judging people. So the most important quality which you will develop as a mental health professionals is to see uh, every individual from a non-judgmental perspective. Okay, from a non-judgmental perspective. Now what does that mean? That means that you will be able to see how things get different when you are seeing it from the third eye perspective, right? Also, spirituality, leadership, well-being, leadership at work, at cultural societies, and everything. Spirituality, all the domains of our life gets affected through psychology. Okay. Moving ahead, I'll give you few data. Okay, few informations which are research based. All of you know World Health Organization. Yeah, World Health Organization, which researches on our health aspects, right? So according to World Health Organization, WHO, 2 out of 3 people are going through anxiety and depression every day. Okay. 2 out of 3 people are going through depression every day. Talking about stress and burnout, I am a researcher, and according to my research, 70% of the Indian population, adult working Indian population, is going through burnout and stress, exhaustion, not just related to work life, but also factors in their personal life. Human behavior affects climate, conflict, productivity, and health. So, when I see human behavior, uh, it, and I see my clients, so how they behave or how people around them behave, not only affects the relationship or the well-being, it also affects the climate. For example, let's say I see a client, a female client I'm recently seeing, she is going through immense violence in her relationship. Okay. So it not only affects the couple, but also the child they are rearing. Okay. The child which is growing up with them, it affects the home climate, it affects the conflicts the mother is having with the child, or the nature of conflicts the mother is having with the child. It also affects the efficiency of everyone in the house, and obviously the health, because of the fights none of them are able to sleep properly, rest properly. So all of these things are getting affected. Am I clear? Yeah. Also, at this era where people are going too much why about AI, emotional intelligence becomes a very big content, because that's what differentiate us from machines. Emotions. Okay. So even Chat GPT or Gemini or Claude are actually nowadays doing very well in emotional intelligence. So when I see that, I'm like, oh my god, what this, what is happening, right? So emotional intelligence, I think, is a very nice thing which we learn as a professional in this field, and also we learn about mental health. So it makes us more aware about someone's mental well-being. So literacy increases on that sphere. Psychology provides evidence-based understanding instead of assumptions. So it provides you evidences, it provides you researches, it provides you so whatever I'm speaking right now, I'm not speaking in the air, like whatever I feel like. It's not just opinions, those are research based opinions. So all of these things which I'm telling you, these are well researched and collected data which I'm just reporting to you, right? So these are not assumptions or hypothetical statements or dreamy statements I'm pointing towards you. All of these things which are written above are actually researched, well researched ideologies. Okay. Now, talking about the psychology, people think psychology is about suicide prevention, about making a person come out of an abusive relationship or any crisis or disastrous situation. But let me tell you, 80% of the cases you will see, those are not severe cases, but moderate level cases where you can help the client with preventive approaches so that they do not reach the severe level. Okay. Also, tools to improve the quality of life. So we don't only work towards reducing the symptoms or treating the illness, we also work in how a person who is leading a wonderful life can improve their quality of life a little bit more. So even if you are living nicely, you can work towards living better, right? And or maybe continuing or maintaining that good lifestyle. That is also psychology is all about. Okay. Just a minute. Yeah. Psychology is a word which is derived from two Greek words, psyche and logos. Okay. Mind or soul, right? What does that mean? So basically, and logos means study. So basically, psychology, according to the early definition or literal meaning of the word, it says it is the systematic study of mind, behavior using scientific methods. Great. Now let's move towards the branches of psychology. Okay. The core areas. So psychology is has four main areas or the pillars of, like, like these are the main branches. Okay. So the first is cognitive psychology. Do you know what is cognitive psychology? Anyone? It's written on the slide though. So I'll just speak it out. So cognitive psychology is about thinking, memory, and attention. Very blah 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 blah. I think you can understand. You cannot understand. So I'll just give you an example. Okay. Let's say a person crosses you. You know that person, and that person ignore you. Wish that person good morning, and that person literally ignores you and walks away. Right? You will think something about that person or about that situation. You will think. You will react. रिएक्ट मतलब कुछ तो सोचोगे ना, दिमाग में कुछ तो आएगा ना, about the person, about the situation. You will remember that is that person didn't smile back or didn't tell me good morning. या फिर you will invariably, you are saying someone good morning and the person is just walking away. You will attend to it, right? That ye kya tha? What was this? Right? Happens, right? Multiple situations happens. Yes, we do have a choice, but we think about that choice also, na? We will think something. Let's say I tell you, okay, let me give you a live example. I'll tell you that I'll switch off the class by 11 a.m. You will think something na कि यार 11 a.m. में 2 घंटे का lecture कैसे wrap up कर दिया? How come it is possible that the person, like, completed the lecture within 1 hour only? You will think, right? Think something. I'm not saying that you will think exactly this, but you will think something. Right now, whatever you're learning, you're thinking something about it, right? You're not a person without the thoughts. That's not possible. If a situation happens, you will have some thoughts about it, right? So the study of the thoughts is known as cognitive psychology. What you are thinking, the content is totally up to you. But there will be some thinking that I do not want to think about it, or chodo na, this is very little to think about. That is also a thought. And how are you thinking about that thought? You attended to that, you saw that situation, right? You saw that situation, you have that memory somewhere, you thought about it, right? And all these are part of cognitive psychology, right? All these are part of cognitive psychology. What you're thinking, what you're memorizing, what you're attending, right? I'll give you another example. So when a child is preparing for exam, the child is reading, the child is attending to the notes, okay, memorizing the thing and thinking how this thing is happening. Cognitive psychology. Clear? Can I get few thumbs up or thumbs down if it is not clear? Okay, great. Now coming to biological psychology. Okay. Coming to biological psychology, so this is basically a branch of psychology where it tells you that how your brain structure, your hormone, your nerves, your neurotransmitters or the chemicals in your brain affect your behavior. Okay, I'll give you an example. So this portion, the hind portion of our brain, is responsible for processing emotions. Okay, this portion, right? This portion is responsible for judgment. Let's say this portion, or judgment, and also to control or to take rational reasoning. This portion is responsible for that. Now, let's say this portion is not functioning or is damaged due to some accident. Is damaged for some accident, okay, then your emotional self will take over and you will only react emotionally. Am I able to reach out to you? There will be full on emotional reactions. You will be too emotional, too overwhelmed. Hindsight of the story. Let's say your occipital region of the brain, there's a region called occipital which is responsible for vision. Okay. And that part of the brain is too active. You might have hallucinations. Okay. Let me give you another example. Do you know cortisol? When you go through stress, you have a lot of cortisol in your blood. Okay. Okay. So cortisol is the stress hormone. Okay. So too much cortisol makes you basically show stress reactions. That is hormone. Neuroscience. Have you heard about dopamine? There's a song also nowadays. Okay. Dopamine, right? So people are addicted because they get dopamine rush. Okay. What does that do? That makes that person happy for a while. Okay. So imbalances in neurotransmitters, in your hormones, or imbalances in the functions of the brain can definitely affect your behavior, right? And that is what is all being read, that how biology is connected to psychology in biological psychology branch of the field, right? Clear? Third branch of psychology is developmental psychology. I am a teacher of this field. Okay, my research is half this, half clinical, half management. Okay, so developmental psychology is a wonderful branch. Why I'll tell you, I have a wonderful philosophy about this branch. This branch shows the life of a person from the period of conception, that once the person is conceived in the mother's womb, from that period, how the person develops and grows till death, that is the tomb. So it's the journey the person does from the womb to the tomb. Okay. It's the branch of psychology which tells you, which awares you how the behaviors, the patterns, the the interplay or the connections change, or maybe sometimes stay constant, or maybe sometimes grow whole during the time of your lifespan. Developmental psychology tells you how a person is shaped throughout his or her lifespan. Okay. Now, coming towards another branch of psychology, which is very dynamic and very beautiful, that is social psychology. Social psychology is a field which talks about the main agenda, I think, of a human life. I hope all of you know that all of us, all the humans, are social beings. We are social beings. We are, socially uh, always talking with each other, or we are part of a society somewhere, right? Against or for the society, but we are in the society, right? So social psychology tells us that how relationships are being formed, how relationships break, how relationships have conflicts, how there's an interpersonal relationship, that is me and you having a relationship, or intrapersonal, that is me having a relationship with self, myself within. It also tells us how our friendships, relatives, and our family or our children actually shapes us as a human being. It tells us about the attitudes we have, it tells us the kind of viewpoint perceptions we have. It also tells about group behavior, that is how a group is behaving, okay, in the lifespan, how the person is behaving in a group, what is the group dynamics, how the group is being formed. So all of these are part of social psychology. Okay. So these are the core, the main branches of psychology. Is that clear? All the branches are clear to all of you? Great. Thank you. Now coming to the applied areas. So there are few applied areas too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 applied areas, guys. So we'll go one by one. So let's start with clinical psychology. So all of you have had fever once in a lifetime, I guess. फीवर हुआ है आप लोगों को कभी या आपके किसी फैमिली मेंबर को है ना so when you guys have fever I know maximum people will just take a paracetamol and just relax okay but no that is not the actual way when we have fever we go to a doctor like let's say we have fever for 7 days we go to a doctor okay the doctor listens to the whole like what we have done in the last 2-3 days or maybe if the person is a very good doctor will take the full case history आपका age क्या है आपका उम्र क्या है आपको कोई प्रॉब्लम और है या नहीं है शुगर है थायराइड है क्या है they will ask you like do you have history of all of these diseases or not right so they will take a case history once they take a case history they will say ki this is the first aid medication paracetamol which you take but you need to get few tests done okay you need to get your few tests done that is your you need to do the malaria typhoid and dengue tests done so that we can screen that out that whether you have what is the reason for your fever or whether there is any infection or not okay so all of these tests are given once the tests are given we wait for the test results come in 1-2 days and then we see कि यार क्या प्रॉब्लम है क्या दिक्कत है we do the diagnosis and if we see it is malaria then we say that you have malaria you need this medications you have dengue you have this medication you have typhoid you need this medication you have viral you need this medication we do this right you have infection you need this medication right when we have fever this is the whole process which goes on है ना similarly when a person has depression or anxiety the person goes to a clinical psychologist the person goes to the clinical psychologist the clinical psychologist listens to the whole history of the client and then after listening to the whole case history they give few tests they do few tests mental health tests of anxiety depression or whatever the concern is once the test result comes it becomes clear to the psychologist that what kind of concern the client has once they are clear that okay the client has this concern then they move on towards therapy that is then they provide कि okay आपको ये problem है diagnosis कर देते हैं कि आपको ये problem है आपको anxiety है they tell you that you have anxiety or you have depression and then they move towards the therapy techniques accordingly like obviously there are different therapy techniques for different concerns right so they move towards that now let's say the severity of the disorder comes out a lot high then the clinical psychologist refers the case to a psychiatrist who is a MBBS doctor and then has completed MD in psychiatry. Okay, Master of Medication in Medicine in Psychiatry. Am I clear? Great. So you all now know what is clinical psychology. Great. Now coming to counseling psychology. What is the difference? It's exactly the same regarding like as the clinical psychology was, but we do not provide or do tests. Counseling psychologists do not do tests. They provide the therapy techniques to just a minute. They provide the therapy techniques accordingly, like listening to the issues they provide the therapy techniques and they like how to say they provide therapy techniques listening to the concerns and help the clients to adjust to the lifetime concerns they are having like according to that like the client whatever issues they are having, we solve it through therapy techniques only. But for diagnosis, we need a different license as a clinical psychologist, which we don't have. For diagnosis, we refer them to psychiatrist or clinical psychologist, and after that we can do the therapy. Also, for every concern you do not need diagnosis. Only for severe concerns you need diagnosis. Am I clear? Now, talking about educational psychology. Okay, what is educational psychology? It is how you apply psychology in the education sector. How the person is learning, how the person is getting motivated, how the person is being assessed. So let's say children are the learners, okay, right, in schools. So what will enhance their learning experience? What will motivate them to learn more? Okay, what kind of classroom environment, and how you can better assess them. Previously we just used to have the written unit tests or normal final exams in the schools, right? But nowadays if you see that the way the students are being judged, not only how they perform in the test but also about their class performance, also their involvement in the class, also how they are doing their projects, right? It is not everything about ratification, everything is not about reading and just rote learning, I would say. It is about application too, right? So things have changed, and all this change have come after the research in the field of education and also in the field of educational psychology, that how we can enhance the learning experience of these students in schools and colleges or in various other sectors. Am I able to reach out to you? I'll give you a very simple example from your point of view. You are now in an education sector right now. Okay. So we started with the understanding that where we are beginning our learning. I asked you to write your understanding about a statement, psychology is everywhere. That was a beginner line, that from where I'm able to understand that where your knowledge of psychology is right now. Okay. Then I'm constantly giving you examples from daily life so that you stay motivated in the classroom. And at the end of this learning experience, I'll present a case study to you and I'll ask you a few questions to assess that whether you have listened to whatever I have said or not. Am I clear now? Industrial and organizational psychology. This is a very, again, very dear field of mine. I have been working as IO psychologist for a long time. So this is basically how psychologists are, how to say, how psychologists can contribute to the working environment in any sector. Okay, how can they enhance the work and efficiency of the individuals, how they can work on the leadership skills or strategies of the individuals, how the HR policies can be changed or understood in the lifelong process. Yeah, like for example, if the HR is coming up with a leave policy, why the person is coming up with such a leave policy, what is the technical reason or the psychological reasons behind it, what is like how we can enhance the working experience, how we can enhance the leadership, okay, of the individual. So how psychology can be applied in workplaces. Am I clear? Next, we have health psychology. So, health psychology is about how you can help an individual who is going through a chronic health disease to cope in that journey, or you can contribute in their life. Okay, I'll tell you me about me only as an example. In 2024, so in 2024, I was diagnosed with a chronic life condition, and I was devastated. Okay, because for that I was asked that I cannot have the most lovable thing in my life, that is aloo. Okay, it's not diabetes, it's just some other thing, but I was advised not to have aloo, not to have rice, like the normal white rice. And I don't know whether you guys know or not, it's true, at least I don't know for other Bengalis, but for me it is true, I need my bhat every day. Okay, so I was crying. Okay, like I was literally crying. Like, how come I can stay without these things? You are saying this is like we even have aloo in the biryani. How can you tell me that not to have aloo? I will be devastated. In everything we have aloo, right? And the Indians will agree. हर चीज में आलू डलता है यार. How can you tell me not to have aloo? I'm like, I will not have cheese. I don't know. No, no, cheese is not a big problem, but aloo is freshly prepared cheese is not a problem. But aloo is, I'm like, what? So I was crying in front of my doctors. I know it might seem very laughable to you right now, but for me at that point of time, I was very, very devastated. I was like, no, no, this is not happening. So I cried, and then I was sent to a health psychologist. So there's a person in that hospital who is a health psychologist who helps you with all of these things. So she told me that the way you're reacting, it seems that you're addicted to potato. I'm like, maybe I am. She said, okay, so let's do one thing. If you lose 2 kilos per week, okay, you will be allowed to have one aloo. And like 2 kilos, one aloo. Yes. They are saying no aloo. I'm telling you 4 aloos a month. I'm like, okay, that's great, fine. But you need to lose 2 kilos. And 2 kilos is impossible. Okay, fine. 1.5 kilos every week. And you can have what you want once a week. I'm like, okay. And then it was very difficult for me because there were lifestyle changes too. So I have to wake up at 5, then do workout, and then like maintain the weight I'm having. I'm not allowed to increase my weight. So whatever my weight is, that needs to stay. Okay. So that, then also when you are leaving carbs, okay, you will have a lot of mood swings also. So I was having that. So my health psychologist helped me with that too. Like, she told me healthier methods to have sweets. Like, for example, I was allowed to have 2 drops of honey if I want. 2 drops. Okay. Not a full spoon. I'm like, okay, that will only do. Because I used to have sugar cravings. You are changing the lifestyle a person have had for 20-25 years. Right. So that is not a magic, right? So I was like, okay, fine, please. So that person allowed me to cope, and you won't believe that helped me to lose within 6 months 10 kilos. I was myself surprised. I was like, what is this? I'm like, this is a new person. And I was happy. And I think the whole journey I made was motivating because of my health psychologist. Because if she wouldn't have been there, it would have been just that dietitian who is very bad with me. Okay. So I cannot deal with that dietitian. So yeah, like, dietitians and doctors are very technical, but not to forget the emotional concerns you go through while you are going through a chronic life condition, which is a serious life condition. It requires a professional, a health psychologist to help you out. Okay. Next, we have forensic psychology. So, forensic psychology is about law, crime, and assessment. So, law, crime, and assessment, if I speak about, forensic psychology is about how it can be applied to criminal setups. Okay. How you can take legal aid, how you can understand the law, how you can understand the crime, how you can assess the criminal profiling, the behavior of the client, and everything. That is forensic psychology. Then comes the seventh one, that is sports psychology. That is how you can apply psychology for the motivation of the players and for enhancing the performance so that they do not get driven away with failure or success. Okay, to ensure the emotional well-being of the players. Okay, any sports that can be. Next comes positive psychology. So positive psychology is a branch of psychology which allows you to see the perspectives of difficult situation from a positive way, not a toxic positivity, but also it helps you to understand the strengths of the situation, the well-being which is associated with it, and the flourishingness. Like, for example, let's say a person is going through extreme adverse situations in childhood. Okay, then also the person grows up to be a very good professional. So how was that possible? That can be explained through the growth that person has had after the adverse experiences, maybe due to his family support or his friends support, or due to the tendency of bouncing back after difficult situations. All of these are part of positive psychology. Am I clear? Now moving towards the difference between psychology, counseling, and therapy. So psychology is, these are three fields of psychology. So psychology is more about research oriented. It's about adding to the theories, the models from which you are learning now, the researches. Basically, for being a psychologist, you need to have bachelor's, master's, and then PhD in psychology. Okay, you need to be a researcher. For with the degree of PhD in psychology, you can be a researcher, a teacher, a assessor, that's an evaluator, a consultant psychologist, and also a clinician if you have clinical psychology degree. Okay, does it involve therapy? Not necessarily. Psychology involves therapy, but if you decide to practice, that is, see clients even after doing the research, then you require therapy as a skill in you. Okay. Counseling, on the other hand, is more about practice. That is, you see clients, help them cope up to adverse situations in life, train them in counseling skills and ethics, facilitate insight and coping skills. And also, these people do not diagnose, but they help you to cope with the adverse situation. On the other hand, therapy or psychotherapy is also known as clinical psychology, is where you get a license for diagnosing and assessing and doing the tests of the client. It is for severe clients and it requires licensing. In this, you basically tell that, oh, okay, these are the symptoms, this is the diagnosis, this is what the person is going through. Okay, it is about severe clients, so it mainly focuses on reducing the psychological symptoms the person is going through, and obviously it involves therapy techniques. Okay, I hope the difference between the three is clear. Thank you so much for coming for the session today and making time on a Sunday morning. I know it's the best time for good breakfasts, but you are uh, like making time for the session, so that's really great. So thank you so much for coming for the session. I cannot see any questions in the question answer forum. I can see few questions here. Ma'am, the therapists that you asked us to go for, are they available on IPA? Yes, they are available on IPA, so you can book one-to-one sessions with any therapist. You can see their profiles in the IPA platform, and you can book a session with them. So there are many people who are providing sessions. Yes, the session is over. If you have no doubts, we can end the session here. Yeah. I'll see you every Saturday on the combined class. Till then, please take care and have a wonderful week ahead. Okay. Bye bye.